Hey, welcome to the dialogue. Where my boy at? That's my roadie. That's my road dog. That's my co-partner. That's my co-pilot. That's KD.
What's up, my brother?
Kim?
What's up, brother? What's happening with you?
Man, you tell me about it. What's the temperatures up in the Ville?
Man, it's been raining off and on all day up here. Definitely, getting remnants from the storm. So it's been wet. It's been wet all day. It's off and on.
Okay, it has been hot. Well, I was in Orlando. It's been hot. Look like it's been hot. I see all the rain, all the water down here. It's water everywhere.
That's crazy. Down and I was looking at on the news, man, down there at Brickell and all those different places where we stay when I come down to Miami, all those places flooded, man.
Crazy. I'm seeing schoolyards that are underwater and everything. But
all the areas flooded. All the places we stay when I come down there flooded, man. I'm like, oh.
Well, so I'm seeing I must be having this audio problem. I see I'm being muted out when I'm not speaking. Better producer, let me know what's going on, please. If so, I have to go somewhere and find some aids, try to help the situation out. KB, tell us what we're doing tonight on the dialogue. Welcome back, man.
Tonight's show, thank you, dog. Tonight's show is about inflation, the high prices of gas, Joe Biden's performance, and where the hell is Kamala Harris? Where's she at, man? We don't see her. So that's what tonight's show is about. We want to talk about inflation. Is it Joe Biden not doing his job? What is the case? And where's Camilla? We saw her win the election and be our first African American female president, but we haven't seen much of her. So we want to hear from the people. Maybe they can maybe they know some things we don't know. I don't know. Maybe our viewers can help us out with that. We got my man Muhammad tag teaming in with us tonight. I guess he'll be coming in a little later with Meta Producer, but he'll be coming in with his views as well. So on inflation and the subjects tonight. There he is. What's up, bro?
Hey, brother. Peace and blessings, y'all.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. So that's what the show's about tonight. We're looking forward to chopping it up. We got some I think some great topics, some on-time topics that we need to talk about. You're muted, Dozell. I think you're muted. He probably got to go out and come back in again. But bro, how you feeling tonight, man?
All is well, brother. All is well.
Good. We I don't know if you want to hear what we're talking about, even though you know what the subjects are tonight. We're looking for Camilla without magnifying glass. We're trying to see what Biden's performance has been thus far, and why is gas so high. I got some graphics that I'm going to show later. Why is gas so high? Why is inflation steadily climbing and everything? Why we're in this predicament that we're in? School shootings just all over the country. You see it all over the news about all the mass shootings that we're seeing all of a sudden, a certain rash of them, 14 throughout the country last weekend, I think it was, and I believe it was 11 this weekend. So, up in Philadelphia, if you watch the news, you see the shooting that took place in Philadelphia out in the open streets. They've already made one arrest with one other person's arrest pending. And one of the persons who was involved in the shooting actually had a concealed weapons permit, so he's carrying legally. And he actually, from one of the little station briefs that I saw, he was actually carrying legally, and he shot in self-defense. He actually shot and killed one of the people, and he's self-defense. So, but nonetheless, a lot of people getting killed over this country in this country with the gun problem. So, those that are still out. Brother Muhammad, chime in on some of that, man.
Dealing with Kamala Harris, we as Black people are, very impressionable, and for her to capture the Black vote It was almost insulting the way she pretty much played black people, or black people allowed themselves to be played. She put on a pair of Chuck Taylors and some Levi jeans and Timberland boots, and she did that to appeal to us and black people. She utilized uh, her college sorority affiliation, um, in connection to HBCU, and all of that was very appealing to black people. But at the same time, it was insulting. That she would use such things to attract us, and far too common. We see this. We see ones who are black who appeal to us, and then once they get in position using the black power or the support of black people, then they quickly turn away or they betray black people. Um, but at the same time, in all fairness, the vice president position is basically a powerless position. Um, they really have, whether it's her or anyone else who occupies that seat, is almost equivalent to being a bench rider in a sport. You ride the bench hoping that you get a chance to get in the game, hoping that someone gets hurt, whereas you can show forth your talent. And that's pretty much the position that she sits in. She doesn't have the ability to sign off for any laws, um, any bills. She's basically just there as a spokesperson to do some lectures throughout the country, to do some book signings and things of that nature, but basically no power to evoke change.
And you're absolutely right about that. But in the past, we've seen just like a first lady, she'll just like and I forgot what Michelle Obama's legacy was. The kids more acclimated to things. I know Nancy Reagan was say no to drugs. Usually the vice president has leaves some kind of legacy that that they start and try and keep it going. And I just haven't seen her at all. Period. So my big thing is where is she? I haven't seen much of her.
If I could just add real briefly, brother, I think Cat Williams stated it best. He said that she's a real black woman. You know what I mean? She's in hiding in her room. You know, uh, but one thing that we've done throughout the years as black people is that we claim um, black people who don't necessarily claim us, and we're proud to say that this person is the first black person to do this. Um, Tiger Woods. We were proud to support Tiger Woods, but Tiger Woods don't necessarily support black people. He came up with his own ethnicity. He said that he's Cambonesian instead of being just black. He said that he's Cambonese or something like that. Um, uh, O.J. Simpson, for instance, you know what I mean? It was black people who were crying and burning candles and praying that he got found innocent. And as soon as they found him innocent, what did he do? He turned around and went and got another white woman. You know what I mean? But he didn't support. He didn't go to the people who were proud to support him. And we see the same thing with Kamala Harris. We see the same thing with the appointment of the first black female Supreme Court justice. Um, brother, depending on who you ask, um, you know, again, these are black appointments, but do they really represent black people? We're proud of them, but what are they going to do from their position of power to help black people? It's a fair argument, and I promise to be short. It's a fair argument for ones to say, well, okay, Kamala Harris is a black woman, but yet she's married to a white man. She graduated from an HBCU. She was a part of a prominent black sorority. You know what I mean? But she also was very instrumental in very draconian laws that locked up thousands of black men. Does she really represent black people? You
Let,
see?
let me weigh in on that, and my opinion may not be the prevailing popular opinion First of all, I'm I don't make an issue of a person who's interracially married. I guess I come from a different background that everybody is, if God doesn't make a distinction, then who are we to make the distinction? That's my feeling about interracial marriage, and I don't think, because I know plenty of people who are interracially married who are very much out there for the cause of poor socioeconomic deprived people, minority people, regardless of their marital status. And I would put Kamala and the Supreme Court justice in there. Now, when it comes to the Supreme Court to Kamala, the laws that she passed, and I know it's not popular. And Kim, you were actually working. In fact, I worked a season when I was working narcotics. You tried to get minimum mandatory sentences. So, from a personal standpoint of view, you put somebody in jail, you don't want to see them because you violated their confidence and you're going undercover on them, and you try to get the sentence. So the minimum mandatory laws that she supported were the prevailing laws of that day. I think we've all had to rethink drug sentencing and so forth. So I don't hold that against her. Crime was rampant and crazy when she was the Attorney General of California. She needed to change that. We have now learned, and in fact, the new narrative is that now that what are these drugs? Can't think of the name of them, but the synthetic drugs that really wipe.
Molly.
What is it? Molly and Flocka and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
This messing up Caucasian brothers and sisters. Now that it's so prevalent on that side of the track, now we're decriminalizing drugs, which we should have done during the crack era. We're decriminalizing them and making it a mental health issue and getting help for people. So I think some of this stuff evolves, and we have to kind of be considerate of that. Now, when it comes to where Kamala is, obviously there have been some problems in her administration. She has voiced that she has not been in. If you know, Barack Obama and Joe Biden it was a great partnership between the two of them, and even at that, the Biden camp, he not so much necessarily, but his camp thought that he had a background role. He was the VP, he wasn't president, but he had one of the higher profiles, as did Al Gore with Bill Clinton. But we don't seem to see as much as that. And one of the reasons is that Kamala remains very, very, very unpopular for whatever reason in all of the polling data. In fact, the young lady that was her head of her communications team now has the show on MSNBC. You may know who I'm talking about, the young lady with the crew cut haircut. She didn't last long. She got out of there pretty quick. But as far as the job that's being done, just as it was in 1976 with President Carter, and it cost him his presidency because Carter went on to be far more popular as a former president as he ever was as a president. We're seeing the same kinds of things raise their head against President Biden: inflation, high gas prices. And when we look at them, a lot of these things are above him and beyond him. What he has to be graded on is how he has managed these problems. Like our former president, he obviously didn't bring on the pandemic, but the problem was that he got low ratings for how he managed the pandemic for you guys.
So I got a couple of graphics that I took pictures of on my phone, and we talk about gas. I'm talking strictly on gas prices right now. So February 2020, a gallon of gas was $2.53. It took $37 to fill up a 15-gallon tank. April of 2020, the gas was $1.94 a gallon. It took It took $29 to fill up a 15-gallon tank. You go you jump down to June 2022. It takes $4.21 to fill up. That's a gallon of gas. Which totals out to be $63 to fill up a tank of a 15-gallon tank, man. And then now it's that's June 3rd, 2022. It's $4.76 a gallon. and now it's $71 to fill up a tank of gas. You know, that's a significant jump from February 2020. For 2 years later, it's $71 to fill up a tank, when back in 2020 it was only $29 to fill up a tank. And I did some background on it, and they talk about how with the war in Russia and everything, Russia being one of the main suppliers of gasoline for the world, it says that's one reason, because they're at war, and that's one reason why prices have gone up so much. During the pandemic, there was a lot going on, and gas prices went up during the pandemic as well. So this happened to fall on Biden's administration. So I don't want to sit here and make it like I'm dogging him out, but I think there's some things he can do for gas. Another breakdown, and I should have asked Tori to put this graph, sent this to Tori so she can put this graphic up where you can see it, where it makes better sense. But you know how you take the little pie charts and you shade in certain parts. So every gallon of gas, 51%, 0.51% is state tax, 0.13% is local tax, 0.184 is national tax, 0.36 is distribution, marketing, and profits. 0.36 is $1.12 is refinery costs, and $2.87 is crude oil. So it all breaks down. I did some homework, and it breaks down everything, telling where a lot of that money goes with gas and everything. I know that don't make a whole lot of sense right now. Y'all just hearing those numbers, but you know, I think we start drilling here at home, man, we can get gas cheaper. I think that's something the president can control there. I definitely think that's something that he can work with and control there. So
I think that has been, you know, so how well are we going to be the steward of this gas of gas? We've kind of really held on to our reserves. We have tapped into them in a very minor fashion, but we've been very judicious in not tapping into our oil reserves, because that would impede our ability to go to war or to keep our country moving, many other things. I do understand that the president, who very strongly came down on the prince of the king of Saudi Arabia, is meeting with him this week, I understand. And this was a meeting that never would have taken place had it not been because of the gas prices. I heard from a fairly informed source that we may go back to rationing gas. And that's what I don't know if you remember that, guys, but that happened during 76 during President Carter's administration. If you tally number in an even number, you had certain days of the war, certain days of the week you got gas. It was an uneven number. There were other days that you got gas. And even at that, we saw long lines at the gas pump. It just shows our dependence on gas. Though our gas prices, to fill up a tank of gas, I have to use that premium gas, though that easily fills up, easily exceeds $100, and it hurts my heart. And Kim, guys, I saw a joke that Kim's pastor Bishop put on the web page on Facebook a few weeks ago about how he was robbed, and then it showed how he was robbed at the gas tank. These are some of the things we have to deal with in a worldwide economy that's dominated right now by a very unpopular war. But it befalls on the president, and then because it falls on him, it becomes on how he manages it. It's just like our household. When crisis hit our households, you cannot blame us for the crisis unless we cause them. But what's looked at is how we manage the crisis. And I'm just going to tell you all this. We've had a couple shows on fairly recently about reparations, and I was vehemently against. And Brother Muhammad, I don't know how you feel about it. I was very vehemently against the timing of these requests, because it's unfair politically to handle this president with a very unpopular reparations, with a dogged out economy and not a better outlook in the future, and then to put something on him that could be done at a better time. Let me just say it like this. I heard a gentleman say last night on one of the news shows, in spite of all of the issues that's going on in this White House, I'd rather have this than what we had 4 years ago any day of the week. And I'll back off of it.
Go ahead, Brother Muhammad.
Um, First, allow me to say, this is not a particular subject that you all necessarily need me for, but so I'm grateful that you will allow me to be a part of this discussion.
Oh yeah, bro.
Um,
Thank you for
I'm very
being here.
appreciative
Yeah.
of that. Just to give my opinion. I'm not a scholar of any of these things. You know, when it um, just to clarify one thing, what I was saying about Kamala, I was making a point. Um, I'm not speaking to anyone who uh, chooses to be in an interracial relationship. Here's a question that I've posed to many throughout the years. If Barack Obama was 6'4", 6'6", and had the same complexion as and looked just like Wesley Snipes, do you think that white folks in Iowa would have voted for Barack Obama as president of the United States? You see, um, that's it's almost like when you find white people who are very supportive of um, 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 what's the brother from Jamaica? Um,
Track star,
no, the singer who died,
Bob Marley.
Bob Marley. You know, white people are very supportive of Bob Marley because they feel that they have just as much right to claim him as we do, being that his father was white. So it is with Barack Obama. His mother was white, his father was black. So white people, when you're dealing with white right, they feel that they have just as much right to claim him as we do. Ones are not looking at biology and the dominant and recessive genes and so forth. They're looking at the fact that, hey, here's a man who had a white mother, had a black father. And when you're dealing with white right or white entitlement, ones may actually feel that it is the white that's in him that makes him, that gave him the intellect that he had, or that made it. Um, you had different psychologists who came out and spoke about people who are non-threatening when it comes to systemic racism and white supremacy. So if Barack Obama would be a non-threatening black candidate, but a Wesley Snipes would be a very, very threatening black candidate. You know, so but I agree with you, brother. And that's all I was speaking to as far as Kamala Harris. We supported her, and she used many things on a very low level of communication to appeal to black people. Chuck Taylors, Levi jeans, Timberland boots, and it came off to us that, hey man, she's down, she's cool, she's for the people, but she lives a life very contrary to that, you know. And that's the only point that I was making. When it comes to gas, brother, the fact that we can sit here and acknowledge that America has oil reserves and America is justifying, um, people are literally at the gas pump making life-changing decisions. You know, do I get gas or do I get medicine? What do I decide? People are paying car notes and gas every month. If it costs over $100 to fill up your tank and you're doing that every week, that's $400 a month in gas. You know, and to have a government that's basically just allowing this to happen is criminal. Um, brother,
But are they? Are they, Brother Muhammad?
again, you have oil reserves. America has a very large oil reserve. America doesn't have a small oil reserve. But America's position is let us keep our oil and let's take and utilize everyone else's and use ours as a last resort. In the meantime, the American people are suffering. Now, when you speak about the what's going on, when you brought up reparations and how you felt about that as being something that shouldn't be addressed right now with a uh, depleted economy, paraphrasing the verbiage you have to use, um, brother, look at the amount of money that this government just sent to Ukraine. How many billions of dollars did they sign, did they approve to be sent to Ukraine? So if America can send that, if the Biden administration can approve for billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars, I believe, um, to be sent to the people of Ukraine to help them, but you can't pay reparations to black people. No, brother, that's a that calls for a very intelligent conversation. To say that reparations shouldn't be an issue to be discussed by this president or to be resolved by this president at this time because of the economy. Because this same economy, they're taking billions of U.S. tax dollars and they're sending it to Ukraine.
Well, when and let me chime in real quick. I tend to agree with Brother Muhammad on that, because these reparations have been over for decades.
Right.
And, so now when you bring up, this is not the time to bring it up. I mean, you had all this time before in the past, and it wasn't addressed properly, or it hasn't happened yet. So when is the time gonna come?
Well, I mean,
Can I add this
certainly.
real quickly, brother?
Go ahead.
If I may, just dealing with accountability. I don't believe that they'll ever pay the greatest people who ever walked the planet to place black people back in a position of economic empowerment. I don't believe in that, so I don't necessarily have hope in, as a black person, a black citizen of the United States, receiving reparations. But when you're dealing with accountability, that's something that we can. There's black billionaires. There's enough black billionaires and millionaires in this country to accept the responsibility of repairing our own condition, and that's what reparations is. If your Oprah Winfrey, your Tyler Perry, your Sean Puffy Combs, your etc., your LeBron James, who just became a billionaire, your Jay-Z, they came together as a black power force and said, hey, we're no longer going to wait for the U.S. government to repair our condition. We're going to do it ourselves. Your Ice Cubes, your etc. There's enough black billionaires and millionaires to repair the condition of, to financially repair what has happened to black people, where we wouldn't have to sit back and wait for the U.S. government to do that. We can do it ourselves.
Let's continue this after the break.
Yes, sir.
We're going to hear from a word from our sponsors. I didn't get with our production team and deal. And I know while I was trying to get this audio together, you all were kind of talking about the gun violence. And if I was going to do something right here, it would really be are you serious for this crazy out Congress that Steve Kerr so impassionately addressed a few weeks ago. 50 senators who walked lock and barrel with the crazy minority leader who fails at any rate to do anything about gun violence. I've heard this. Let me just do it. I don't have the graphics, but I'm going to do it. Governor Abbott, Republicans, you continue to be what we call Republicans. How many more shootings have to take place before you get serious about legislating at least 18-year-olds, the same laws that you put on them about drinking, you put on them about drinking a beer, you put on them about purchasing AR-15. Are you serious? You don't address the gun aspect of it. I know guns don't kill people. People kill people. It's the hearts of people that kill people, or the deformed minds that's killing people. But are you serious? You don't deal with that? You want to talk about arming people in the school system. You want to talk about making the school safer, but you don't want to address the guns aspect of it. Are you serious? And for this clown in Tallahassee, I know I hear about this. Are you serious? I know you can't help yourself. What the problem is, if this state puts him back in office and sets him up to become the president, I'm going to be calling out the whole state of Florida. That includes every minority, and ask the question, are you serious that you sat by and let him get reelected? Now he's talking about open carrying. Do you know what an open carrying society looks like? It looks like a society that antagonizes people of gun violence. Every white supremacist, every gang member, everybody will walk around to see who has the strongest firearm, who can be the most intimidating, who can be the most incendiary, who can cause the most, who can intimidate the most, who can incite the most, who's going to cause the most violence, the most destruction. And what does destruction always hit, Brother Muhammad? It's our community. Listen, are you serious, you gun-loving people? I'm through with it because I'll be done. Let's hear from our sponsors. Kim, let me just would you read Tracy Gray's comments? She's a good friend of the show.
Yeah, Tracy Gray. Not to mention the anti-Asian hate law passed by both parties. Not one law for Black people. We still have to have voting rights voted for every couple of years. Great point. Very great point. That's from Tracy Gray.
We couldn't even get the John Lewis voter right thing, and two Democrats basically blocked that because they have this thing where you have to get 60%, and two Democrats blocked us from changing that. Manchin and Celebrate out there in Arizona have stood that. That's why I hate to make this a partisan thing, but let's just say let's make it an interest thing. Whose interest we're trying to protect? If we're trying to protect the rights and the interests of Blacks and dark complected people, Miss Tracy, then we've got to get the people in office across this nation who's going to vote for our rights and who's going to vote for our concerns. And we know that other party is not concerned with that now. I know people have a lot of issues. And we're sitting here looking at the poll numbers. Kim, President Biden's numbers have slipped in our community. 43% are saying that they're satisfied. 39%, this is the Black community, saying that they're not concerned. Do you think he could do more for the Black community right now, Kim?
You say that again. Think that who can do more for the Black community?
Do you think that President Biden could do more for the Black community at this point?
He can definitely do more. I mean, that's no question. He can definitely do more. He's done, just like I just wonder sometimes, and I was talking to Brother Muhammad prior to the show earlier, and talking to some other people, and it just makes me wonder. I mean, does he just want to be a president of first, or is he really trying to promote or trying to help Black people? I mean, of course, he ran with the first female Black president. They won. And then now he's made his press secretary, Black female, lesbian, Black female. Is he doing it because of the right reason, or is he doing it just so we can say he's the first to do that? There's a whole lot he can do for the Black community. And when I say that, I don't want to make it sound like they can do with our community that he can do in other communities, but I mean, there are things that are needed in the Black community that he can help out with. And if you want to do it, he can do it. That's no doubt.
I'm in the process of asking Ms. Tracy right now. She just asked the question. He's not keeping campaign promises to our community, and I'm asking her specifically which ones. Now, I mean, we don't when we talk about getting things done, we don't want to think politics. We want to keep politics out of the equation, but we cannot escape politics. Politics are very much part of the equation. I go to what I heard the gentleman say last night. I would rather have a Biden, who many are calling senile and so forth and so on, who we have issues with, who we got to get off the snide or whatever to get things done for our causes. I'd rather have him than where we were this time 4 years ago at any day of the week. I was looking at some of the old dialogues, and I remember wearing all black one night. My wife sat here and laughed at me, but it was the night that the George Floyd's protests were rampant, and the former president went across the street at the Presbyterian church that had suffered some damage, and he stood over there with an upside down songbook, thinking it was a Bible, and held it upside down as if he was standing uh, biblically with that church. He's never stepped his hips over there, not one time, to attend churches. It's almost every to attend services, which almost every occupant of the White House, regardless of their religious affiliation, has done. He never did that, but he went over there for that photo op. And that night, in the midst of the pandemic and in the midst of the George Floyd campaign uh, 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 protest, I remember changing at the last second before we went on air that night. I wore all black just to voice my dismay. So my question is, and this was said about President Obama. They said that they say he was not doing enough for black people. And I said, well, dog, he's not elected as the president of black people. He's elected as president of the United States of America. And in so doing so, we have to make choices as to whether or not this person is going to best serve our interests, or is that clown in Tallahassee, God forbid he becomes president, is he going to better serve our interests? It's darn sure not doing it now as the governor. And so we have to look at these things. We have to realize Biden, or whoever the occupant of the White House is, he has to reach a certain number of constituents, a certain percentage, in order to get reelected. And in this climate, you have to kind of govern down the middle to do that. Gentlemen?
The question was asked if he does enough in the black community. The fact that he's not doing anything to, and I'm trying to phrase that the way you kind of put it just a minute ago. The fact that he's not doing anything in the black community is just the same as him not. And I'm trying to think how I need to word this. Him not taking actions and trying to be president of all people. I get that. I know he's president of all people, but there are certain things that he and Teresa put up some comments. Can you put her comment back up again just now? She put up student loans earlier. Madam Producer, if you put up a comment, she just put up, not the one after, she's did one since then. The thing about the previous administration is at least you knew exactly where they stood. True. This administration preys on the poor, black, and uneducated community that is unacceptable regardless of religious affiliation. I agree with that part, especially the part about you knew where you stood with Trump administration. We knew what was going on. We knew it was just, and it's kind of like Malcolm said, I can respect that, when I know what I'm facing. So, I don't know. I think Biden could do more. I do think he could do more. He ran on that, and I think he could do more.
Well, let me just tell you three things, and we'll listen to Brother Muhammad, listen to our guests. We have a black Supreme Court, female black Supreme Court justice that he got in office.
True.
That was a campaign promise. And I don't know how comfortable you are with the other black, so-called black person on the Supreme Court. He is the most abysmal representation of progressive black thinking that this nation has ever had. When President Bush, George Herbert Walker Bush, appointed him, I was like, oh my goodness, not him. Who knew that he would be as bad as he is? And he has come out now. He is just like every other Republican who wears a gun, who just comes right out and shows their thumb their nose at democracy. His wife is a part of the insurrectionists of the January 6th, and she's coming right out. She was part of the planning of it, and he's making comments. What Supreme Court justice do you even hear their comments? They're quiet and they hide behind their robes. Not this guy. This emboldened, crazed out Republican Party. He's a part of it, and he speaks on their behalf. So he gave us somebody that at least helped negate him and his thinking, even though the numbers are still 6-3. He also gave us an African Asian female, the first female to ever occupy the vice presidency of the presidency. He promised that. He gave it. He also fought strongly for the George Floyd Criminal Reform Act, and he also fought strongly for the John Lewis Voter Act, and he just does not have the help to get it done. So I think we have to look at these things, and every time you step out this far, it's a political risk. Brother Muhammad, weigh in, please.
Let me
Yes,
read,
sir.
this graphic. Tracy just put in there, and not the black community, but lynching. This is one of the first one, not the black community, but lynching has been going on since slavery. 2 Asians are attacked, and the law is passed in a week. Great point. And then she put up putting black people in positions, but without power is not what we need. Look at the VP. And that's what Brother Muhammad and I was talking about that earlier. You know, you got person in a position, or he actually stated that earlier. You got persons in positions, but they don't have no juice, you know? So, you know, put some people in some power and give them the juice to do what they need to do if he's not going to do it. So I'm sorry, bro. Go ahead.
No, brother. You know, there's really not much to say behind the comments of Tracy Gray. I agree with those comments 1,000%. As I jokingly have said, that Asians got their butt kicked for 3 days and they got federal protection. And under the Obama administration, we didn't even get federal protection. I'm not one who actually believes that Donald Trump was intelligent enough to undermine the American democracy and become the president of the United States. With that being said, I believe that all that's a conversation for another time. But I believe those are positions that are selected. You know, because I can't justify his position as president. I can't validate it. You know, he just simply doesn't have the intellect, the intelligence to become the president of the United States. And for the American people to go from the intelligence of a Barack Obama to the to a Trump. But in all fairness, no emotions. Uh, and I'm not Republican, and I'm not a Trump supporter, you know, but neither am I Democrat. Um, there was more done for Black people under the Trump administration within his first 6 months. And it took Obama 8 years to do some of the things that he did for Black people. Under the Trump administration, it was done in 6 months, you know, dealing with clemencies and pardons for people that were in federal prison. Um, you know, we can't ignore the history of a Joe Biden and look at how he has affected the lives of Black people for many years. When you look at the federal crime bill drafted by Biden, you know, whereas you have Black men and women still in federal prison today because of these laws. So there's a lot of damage that he's done to the Black community, and that can't be fixed by the token appointments of Black people in positions of power that really doesn't have power. You know, we can't be appeased by the appointment. Okay, he put a Black woman in position. He did this. You know, these are token positions. You know, and it's insulting for us if we allow ourselves to be appeased by these token positions. Um,
Bro
you know,
Muhammad, with all due respect, brother, I beg
yes,
to
sir.
differ that
Okay, yes, sir. Yes,
a
sir.
black on the Supreme Court is a token
Mhm.
position.
Well,
I
what?
think you have a person with a proven track record, though she's going to be outnumbered. You know, you never know how this pendulum can swing. Our generation probably will never see the swing. This court is always all the way to the far right, probably for the next 40 years. But at least we have a voice of reason, and I just cannot consider
Well,
that a token position. I'm sorry.
no, I agree with you, brother. I mean, I respect that, but we have the history of Clarence Thomas. You know what I mean? And you know, we can, with the same admiration that we can have for this sister, we can have for Clarence Thomas, but we don't have that admiration for Clarence Thomas because he hasn't done anything for Black people, but been against Black people. You see, so that in itself is a token position. Any position that allows a Black person to be appointed, but yet they have no power, um, it doesn't benefit Black people. It's something that we can be proud of, but it's almost like we're caught up in symbol and not substance. Where is the substance of her power? Where is the substance of her appointment? If you ask Black people, walk outside. If you walk outside your house, can you see the effects of 8 years of Barack Obama? what he did for black people. Now, one will say, well, he had the Obamacare, right? What did that do for black people? Obamacare wasn't for black people. That was for physicians who were forced because of their profession to perform very expensive surgeries and operations on people who didn't have insurance. So Obamacare benefited health professionals, whereas now you have citizens who are forced to have insurance. So now you work at Taco Bell, for instance, and you're getting $10 an hour. You know what I mean? Now you're forced to have uh, insurance. You know what I mean? But now you're struggling more than you did before. You know, so that benefited Obamacare benefited doctors and nurses and medical professionals, but it hurt the people who were already struggling. You see, and it also gave us a sense of falsehood. So when you say that Barack Obama said that he was the president of all people and not just black people, where every president we've had has systemically been for white people. But if you can have a Donald Trump who can come out and boldly say that he's for white people, then I think it's fair. It's a fair expectation for black people to say, hey, we need somebody to come out and say they're for us, you know? And that wasn't a unfair expectation of black people to say, hey, we know you can't come out and say it, Barack, but at least do something to show us that you got our back. You know what I mean? Because we know you represent the United States of America as a corporation. We know that. But we need some assurance that you have our back. He signed bills for the LGBTQ. He signed bills for Israel, you know, and American Jews. But see, we were still left with nothing, you know. So,
Let me address your Supreme Court conversation.
yes, sir.
This is the thing that we have to be cognizant of. I've only learned after the fact how much anti Hillary sentiment there was out there. I thought she was, if you look at presidents of the last 30, 40 years, she was as qualified as any to be president. Now, I'm not stating the preference either, or definitely I wouldn't want Donald Trump as president. But the effects of these presidential elections are this. If Biden was not president, the recent appointment to the Supreme Court would have been another far right-wing crazy justice that would stack the Supreme Court, that would take, now it's going to be 30 or 40 years, then it would be 50 or 60 years before anybody would have an opportunity to negate all of that far right-wing stuff that they're bringing to the legal system. Now, we had to consider that when Hillary was defeated. We got to be out of here in 5 minutes, guys. I'm gonna wrap it up. I'm gonna be part of the wrap up. When Donald Trump was elected, Mitch McConnell had held up the nomination to the Supreme Court, who's now Attorney General Merrick Garland, who Barack Obama had selected. Mitch McConnell would not let him come up and be voted upon, which would have tilted the court to the progressive side. But as soon as Donald Trump basically had been defeated, or was on his way to being defeated as president, Mitch McConnell rushed through the Supreme Court, the last nomination of the Trump administration. So what happened was Trump got to select 3 Supreme Court justices. If you don't think that matters, I'll take the selection that Biden put over the 3 that Trump did any day for our interests. He supported 3 Clarence Thomases who wore white skin as opposed to somebody who carried them out. So I'm just saying these things have greater implications than meets the eye. Henry's saying if we as a people would love God like we used to, with the knowledge we have today, we would be more like him than people. Henry, 100% in agreement, man. 100% in agreement. Henry, we got to get you on the show to sing about that yesterday. Guys, we got to wrap it up. Producer said we had a hard night. Kim,
Let me
get ready
say,
to close us out.
before we get out of here, let me say something, speak my piece before we get up out of here. Maybe we need to do a show on what because this show has kind of drifted to a different subject, and maybe we need to do a show on this subject, bring Brother Muhammad back and do that subject on you know, are we better off with Biden as black people? Are we better off with Biden or with Trump? You know, I think I would definitely say with Biden more so than Trump, because of some of the things. But I get what Brother Muhammad is saying. You know, he's done some things for black people that other presidents didn't get done. But maybe we ought to do a show in the future about that. So, or some other title or however we want to name it. But definitely bring him back and do a show on that. Yes, he brought up some good points.
I mean, guys, if y'all can read Tracy's, if y'all can read Tracy's comments, her comments are 1,000% spot on. Listen,
Let me read
guys,
them. I think the last few administrations have proved that they are for the rich and not necessarily any race, including this one. Very true. I truly believe I truly believe they are trying to erase the middle class. You are either poor or rich. Raise minimum wage, but look at the food, gas, housing prices. That 15 is equivalent to 7. Yeah, those are very reasonable comments, Tracy. Very reasonable comments.
and that's what America's about. America's about, at the end of the day, it's about this money and it's capitalism. One of the tools that South Hispanics in South Florida, Miami-Dade used to be a Democratic county, and the Hispanics in Miami-Dade has turned it into a red county. And one of the things that they're being told is that Democrats want to turn America into a socialist country. Well, that is the propaganda to support just what Tracy's saying, to keep communism. I mean, not capitalism, to keep millionaires continue to make the current millionaires what they are, and to suppress the middle and the lower class. It's that caste system. That's what capitalism thrives off of. That's what it all boils down to, Tracy, right there. That's spot on. Yeah, Brother Muhammad, if you can wrap it up in 90 seconds, can you take us out of here?
Yes, sir. I just like to add one last comment, brother, if I may. And I believe, Kim, that'll be a good idea to revisit this. It's my position that a Republican or a Democrat is in many regards, a Republican in disguise. You know, greater is the enemy you know than the one you don't know. It's fair to say that a Biden, and many would argue that Biden is Trump in disguise. You know, all I'm saying is that we can't be fooled by the superficiality of this. Is something that presidents have done throughout the years. When it's time to get the black vote, they go to the black church, hold a black baby, kiss and pray at a black church, and then once they're in office, they betray black people. You know, so um, um, that's my position, bro. Greater the enemy we know than the one we don't. You know, so uh, I'll leave it at that.
We appreciate you joining us tonight, man. I know it was last minute. Appreciate you coming on, joining us. We always appreciate your words of wisdom. And even if we agree or disagree, we all do it. It's okay to disagree. You know, it's agree to disagree.
Yes, sir.
And I'm not saying that I'm disagreeing with you on anything you're saying, but I'm just saying as a forum here on our show, we appreciate you coming in and stating your opinion.
Yes, sir.
We definitely want to revisit this topic, I think, and bring you back and chop it up with you. Hopefully we'll get more people chiming in, more listeners chiming in and being part of the show as well. Me, as far as I feel, in reference to what you just said, bro, about great show. Looking forward to follow up from Tracy. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you for all your comments tonight too. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for your comments. To wrap it up for me real quick, Brother Muhammad just said about the white candidates, you know, they go around, they kiss babies, they do all that. We have black candidates that do that too. And,
Indeed.
You know, that's, you know, you just got to pick your poison. You know, a lot of times,
yes, sir.
I know when Hillary and what's the old dude, Bernie was running for the seat, the battle against Trump, it was a matter of picking your poison, because I didn't really go crazy about neither one of those candidates. Definitely, I'm not a Hillary supporter. So, you know, it's a matter of picking your own poison. So that's how it is nowadays. We have to pick our poison sometimes, and when there's not a reliable candidate running. But that's what we have to end up doing. So it's a matter of vote for that person. And I voted outside of my party. I'm a Democrat, and I voted outside of my party to pick who I thought was the best candidate. So you know, and I'm definitely not a Republican, but you know, sometimes I've supported Republican candidates because they come from their heart, not from their wallet, you know. So, but yeah, we'll definitely chop this up again. I thank everybody for joining in with us tonight, bro. Like I said, thank you for joining us. Dozell, I'm turning it back over to you, my brother.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you again, bro. Muhammad, Tracy, Henry
Thank you.
Glenn, we always appreciate you, and we're going to have you on. I was just thinking, got to find the right form. Listen, we got to get out of here. We're on a hard 9 o'clock. I've promised to do this show on the replacement theory, but we would do it unjustly if we don't bring it on with the right slew of co-hosts, of guests, and I'm just trying to line that panel up, and we'll do that in the upcoming weeks. Listen, Dialogue with Dozy is back at you next Monday night. We will, our show topic, we will get it out so we can get more viewers on next week. We'll get it out midweek. We'll pull that together and do that. Dialogue with Dozy, bro. Muhammad, thank you for being here. My right-hand man beyond the show, just in life. Kim Varner, Dialogue with Dozy. We love you. God bless.
Peace.